Hey everybody, today we're taking a look at the 1.1.1 early access patch for Dead Effect 2. It's been a little while since I showed the original early access build of this game on the channel, and that's been mostly because the game hasn't really changed a whole lot since that initial build up until this point. However, with the 1.1 patch a couple of weeks ago, a bunch of new stuff was added, such as heavy weapons, a FOV slider to take the field of view up to 90 degrees, some options for configuring mouse acceleration and smoothing, and some general balance and tweaks for various enemies within the game. There's also a new game mode called Infestation, which basically provides an instance-like experience where you fight your way through a horde of enemies to have a boss fight at the end of a level. These missions are particularly useful for obtaining new items because they tend to be a bit harder than the other generic mission types and always end in a boss fight that always drops at least one interesting piece of loot upon completion. In addition to all that, some nice convenience features, such as being able to remain grouped with co-op party members in between missions, have been added. And the 1.1.1 update in particular polishes off a lot of the rough edges and fixes a lot of bugs and glitches that were introduced in 1.1. As a result, I feel like the current 1.1.1 build is the best version of the game we've seen thus far. Keeping in mind that this is still an early access in development game that is not feature complete and still suffers from occasional bugs, such as clipping and placement issues associated with trip mines, which you'll get to see a little later in the video. Speaking in general about the heavy weapons, I do find them pretty interesting, but I will say, as a general rule, I think they might be a little more difficult to solo with than might at first seem to be the case. I also feel like they tend to expose a bit of an issue with the mechanics of the game that's been present since the beginning. That being that reloading automatically takes place whenever a ranged weapon depletes its ammo, and the reloading animation generally can't be interrupted to perform a variety of other actions. For example, if you try to switch to another weapon during the reload, at least part of the reload animation has to play before that change takes effect. Or if you try to use a special ability during reloading, you have to wait for the reloading animation to finish before the special ability will actually trigger. This causes a lot of problems and leads to a lot of tough situations where you might be faced with a horde of enemies and get caught in a reloading animation for several seconds, unable to do anything to defend yourself if you're unable to run away. As a result, I'd really like the developers to consider one of two possible solutions to this problem. On one hand, there could be a manual reload option, which would require players to voluntarily press the R key to trigger a reload once the gun is depleted, or the ability to immediately interrupt the reloading process when other actions such as special abilities and weapon switches are triggered. Both of these solutions would require some extra work on the developer's part, but I firmly believe that either one would greatly improve the gameplay experience and provide a variety of welcome tactical options for players. Having said all that, I'm still very much in love with this game and very much looking forward to seeing the final finished version of it. I've been having a blast playing it in single player and cooperatively with friends, and I think it's one of the strongest early access games on Steam right now, conceptually, aesthetically, and in terms of its execution. If Dead Effect 2 isn't on your radar yet, it's definitely time to give this game a serious look, if anything about what I've shown or said here seems at all appealing. I think that's going to do it for me in terms of commentary for this video. I will let the rest of this footage play out so you guys can see a little more of the game in action. If you have enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that like button. If you want to see more videos from me, be sure to hit subscribe, and I will see you next time.
Medistation now.
Excellent. Move to the
Healing
next terminal and
process
upload the
completed.
program.
Protect the console from damage.
Combat core activated. Identify target. Target identified.